Greetings from South Korea. I am Arirang News AI anchor. Here's the news-making headlines today. Having wrapped up his state visit to Brazil, President Lee Jae-myung has landed in Chile, the second leg of his three-nation trip to South America. President Lee will go to the presidential palace on Thursday to meet with his Chilean counterpart Jose Antonio Kast, who took office in March. The leaders will attend an official welcoming ceremony, expanded talks in exchange of MOUs, a joint press conference, and lunch. Their key focus is modernizing the Korea-Chile Free Trade Agreement, which hasn't been updated since it went into effect in 2004 to reflect new areas, including digital trade and environmental cooperation. The ruling Democratic Party was set to push through a major judicial reform bill out of plenary session on Thursday. However, the main opposition People Power Party launched a filibuster arguing that there should be a bipartisan agreement on solutions to safeguard victims and prevent investigative gaps. The proposed bill is to amend the Criminal Procedure Act by stripping prosecutors of their authorities to conduct supplementary investigations. Instead, the police would be required to carry out additional investigations requested by prosecutors within 1 month, and victims would gain stronger rights to challenge police decisions. A measure aimed at softening the impact of removing prosecutors' investigative powers. Despite the PPP's opposition, under parliamentary rules, a filibuster can be ended after 24 hours with the support of 3/5 of lawmakers. With backing from smaller allied parties, the ruling party is expected to have enough votes to cut short the debate and pass the bill, completing the final step in its judicial reform agenda. North Korea-linked cyber operations stole more than $600 million in the first half of 2026, driving a record surge in cryptocurrency exploits worldwide. This is according to a new security report by the on-chain security platform Blockade. North Korea-related attacks accounted for 55% of all in the first half of the year. Globally overall, attackers drained $1.1 billion across 212 verified incidents in the first 6 months. While total financial losses are down from last year, the frequency of attacks is the highest on record for any half-year. In the U.S., the Federal Reserve has left interest rates unchanged for a 5th straight meeting, choosing to wait for more clarity on inflation and a broader economic outlook despite renewed pressure from President Donald Trump to cut borrowing costs. At the end of its 2-day Federal Open Market Committee meeting, the Fed voted 9-3 to keep its benchmark interest rate at a range of 3.5 to 3.75%. The decision leaves the interest rate gap between South Korea and the United States at as much as 1 percentage point. Speaking after the meeting, Fed Chair Kevin Warsh said the central bank remains firmly committed to its 2% inflation target, while describing the U.S. economy as showing impressive resilience despite recent shocks, including renewed fighting in the Iran war. Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps vowed Thursday to retaliate and hit U.S. facilities following Washington's renewed airstrikes. This comes hours after the U.S. military has launched a new round of strikes against Iran. U.S. Central Command announced that the operation began at 8 p.m. Wednesday, Eastern Time, describing it as a powerful response to Iran's attempted attacks on American forces in the Middle East a day earlier. Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps said it had fired several ballistic missiles at a U.S. airbase and a military center in Jordan. The U.S. military described it as an attempted surprise attack, saying all incoming missiles were intercepted. Following a brief lull, the resumption of attacks from both sides has derailed diplomatic momentum, casting doubt on efforts to revive the ceasefire. That is all from me today. Thank you for watching.